Okay, it's about time to get started here. I'm sure more people will trickle in over the next few minutes, but we're going to start on the hour here. So my name is Max. I'm from DV Labs. I'm really excited to kick off this first community call for the first retroactive funding round here at Obol Collective. So yeah, I'm just going to be playing MC here in the background, and up first we'll have a short introduction from Thomas. He is the CEO of the Obol Association. How you doing, Thomas?
Hey Max, hi everyone. Glad to be here today with the community for our first community call. So we'll try to do one of these about once a month moving forward. So we'll see how that goes. So we can bring this new media to the collective that's now really ramping up since the airdrop, and more on that in a minute. So if we take a look just at January to start with some key numbers so people understand a bit where the collective is at today. We've seen actually about 30% growth in terms of the ETH stake through DVs in the last 6 months. So that was month over month, 30%. So we're reaching now close to 1 billion if ETH price will let us get there one day. And that's about 8,000 validators. What's also super important to us is actually the number of operators, whether they're on testnet or on mainnet, as a lot of them actually hold what we call the technique credentials. They go from base to bronze to silver, maybe one day even gold. And they're a real testament of the quality of the operators that we have on the network. And that will be just like a huge thing we can leverage moving forward. So that's today, but we expect 2025 to be even bigger. That's like just really the beginning. We already have about 2.5 billion in committed part TVL from various partners that will come online around the Pectra upgrade that's slotted in the next 2-3 months, I believe. And then the plan for this year is to go as far as 10 billion. So that's actually a very exciting roadmap for us. And we really see a path there that would put us in the really top 5 protocols ever in crypto. So definitely something to keep watching. Now, the way we get there is actually by leveraging what we call this decentralized operator ecosystem. So on the left side, what you have is our operator community. It's these like 6,000 people that are credentialed through Techni that I discussed. And then on the right side, you have infrastructure networks and protocols. So these are either like your liquid staking or restaking protocols that you're quite familiar, like Lido, like EtherFi. But we have like blockchains, whether they're L1s or L2s, basically launching every day. Or it could also be even AI networks, like let's say BitTensor subnets. And the one thing that all these networks and infrastructure have in common in the realm of Web3 is that they need operators. And so Obol is able to bridge basically all these networks requiring operators for them to run in a decentralized way by leveraging the Obol tech that's decentralized and distributed validators, but also having this credentialing on top of the operators so that these networks can be bootstrapped very quickly by leveraging credentials and quality operators. Now, on top of all this, with the airdrop that we've recently done, I think that was 1 week or 2 weeks ago, we're introducing the Obol token, and that will really wrap up the decentralized operator ecosystem on a few fronts. The first one, which we haven't actually formally announced yet, but will be soon, so happy to tease it a little here, is the programmatic staking rewards that will really incentivize TVL on Obol distributed validators moving forward. So keep an eye on this one. I think they will be pretty interesting if you have some ETH to deploy. The second one is everything around governance. We'll talk a bit about that today as well. And then we also have the governance within the retroactive funding mechanism. And Ellie from the team will talk much more about that. And that will be actually the first set of actions that people take within the collective with the token. So the goal is really to start wrapping up the token into more and more of the collective across incentives, across governance, across yield. And that's what we'll go to moving forward. So one of the key things I want to highlight today, and Ellie will walk you through that, is the retroactive funding mechanism. While our path to, let's say, 10 billion stake is actually looking quite promising, We also want to stay core to what the collective is and the vision that Ethereum brings, and also retroactive public goods funding that was pioneered by Optimism along Ethereum. And so in that vein, we have that retroactive funding, which really rewards all of the past accomplishments that help create this flywheel effect for the Obol Collective. So we'll walk you through how you can apply for that in a minute. Before we do that, the last thing I want to touch a bit upon today is the airdrop, as this was really a great success so far. So if you haven't done so, please go to claim.obol.org, as claims are open for about 90 days, and we're already about like 10 days in. So they will be open for another 80 days. And the spirit of the airdrop was really to reward three core group of users. So the first one was our community. These are people that hold various kind of badges and technical credentials that I discussed earlier. You have the different tiers, but also specific test nets or operators that have been with us for actually a pretty long time. And so we wanted to make sure we reward those people. And so this group got approximately 40% of the airdrop. The second piece were the Obol contribution holders. So contributions were a sort of point system that you were accruing as you were deploying ETH through our partners or directly if you were squat staking. So capital providers also got about 40% of the airdrop. And then finally, as we're trying to build this decentralized operator ecosystem I mentioned earlier, DOE, we also really wanted to include what we consider to be one of the most, at its core group for Ethereum, but also the most aligned and most effective operators out there, which are the home stakers. And they come in various forms. They can be part of the Rocket Pool operator. They can be part of Lido CSM, product that's seeing like a lot of traction. By the way, congrats to them on raising the cap to 2% over the weekend. Or just general solo stakers in general that are directly staking their 32 ETH. And hopefully one day we can convert more and more of these people towards squat staking so they don't have to bear the risk of missing a block or downtime. We really want to elevate the experience for home stakers. And so this group represented about 20% of the airdrop as well, which was quite exciting. So in terms of some of the key metrics for the airdrop so far, Max, if you go to the next slide, we have about 1/3 of the Obol total that was distributed has been claimed. And today, the claiming is actually in the form of locked token as an NFT. But something very important that's baked in is that it does have some governance power. So while it is locked, you can actually already delegate it. And that will be very important for the governance actions that we want delegate to start taking as of today. And that will be the retroactive funding. So tokens are locked, and then there will be a governance vote from the delegates then in terms of when we can unlock these things. So the Obol Association will put a proposal in terms of when we think it might be relevant to unlock the tokens. And the first step towards that is actually first executing on the retroactive funding. Something else that's quite important indeed is please delegate your tokens. The delegates have all the power, let's say, in the collective, but you can always redelegate to someone else if you don't feel they're aligned with your intentions. And today we have about like 20 operators that hold about 1% voting power or more. So that's actually pretty bullish in terms of decentralization of the voting power, and quite exciting to be working with these key delegates over the futures. So thanks for all those that have registered and pushed for delegations. All right, so if we go to the next slide, yeah, I think we can leave it at this in terms of the overview of governance, the collective, and we'll provide more updates every month. And now I'd like to introduce Elisa, which is working with us at the association, and she's our governance administrator and manager. So she'll be walking you through a bit more about the retroactive funding round and what we have in mind there.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. So first of all, like, thank you all for being here, the community, delegates. I see a lot of people on the chat, so thank you so much. So I'm going to introduce today the rough one. So how it all started. So the Obol Collective saw the great work of the ecosystem did in the past. and the idea of reward those builders in the form also of the retroactive funding. In this case, the round one. So the RAF one is an initiative aimed at rewarding public goods that strengthen and promote the Obol Collective decentralized operator ecosystem and its ability to decentralize infrastructure networks like Ethereum, like as the presentation says. So in this case, we're gonna have a total. So we have a total pool of 1 million Obol tokens to reward on those public goods. So yeah, so basically, like the idea is to allocate for like everything that the community did and to promote and builders to keep working and keep building for the Obol Collective. And so in this case, this is what we have designed. So similar to what Optimism did, what Gitcoin did, and what other projects did, our idea is to reward projects based on impact and profitability. So, and to align those two pillars. So we designed so we have some eligibility criteria for those applicants. So if you continue to the next one. And yeah, perfect. So here we have a timeline. This is the overall structure of what the RAF one looks like. So it all starts and sign up for those who are going to apply for the RAF. So applicants have time to sign from today, actually, until end of the week. So each step is 7 days. So, and to provide feedback in the forum. And then shortly, because then we are gonna dive deep more into the next slides. So then delegates will need to vote based on their voting power, and also to provide feedback on the process, because we want this to make it better and better every time the round pass. And then and before that, the association will pre-select the projects, and then at the end, after the voting pass, and after some time after Sundays, actually, we'll share the results and see then what to give away those Obol tokens, that million that we have in the pool. So if we go deeper into each step in the next slide, so applicants, and so you have time until end of February 9th to apply. So you have more information on obol.org and blog.obol.org and RAF1. So you have basically all the initiative there, what the selection criteria, the impact, how we're gonna measure, and that impact that the projects did. And at the same time, we have in the forum a specific place for RAF1 guide for applicants. So you will see step by step and what you will need to do and how we are gonna measure impact. And we have on one side, we will select the applications based on basically to avoid having spam, but delegates will be the ones who will allocate votes based on their basically what they think it creates more impact for the collective. If you go to the next one, yeah, so something super important. So after you apply, it's nice, it's not mandatory, but it's nice if you can tell us how we did in this first round in the forum. So you apply, and ideally you should go to the forum and say what do you think it was positive, what do you think it was negative, and what do you think in the overall process that we can improve for next rounds. So we want to make this better and better every round. And then for delegates, so you after the voting pass, after the applications close, you will have now the time for allocate your votes, and based on different guidelines that you also have in the forum. And so you will have like step by step what you need to focus on. And we also created a framework for you delegates to make the voting process easier, and to allocate votes based on impact and based on what you think it has high impact, medium, and low. So impact and in different type of impact metrics, and that it was designed in the application process. So you have all the guide in the forum, and if you have any doubts, of course, you can also like ping me in Telegram in the delegates group. So, and for delegates, this is also super important. Please don't forget. So we have like there is a post talking about the conflict of interest disclosure thread for the Roth one. So if you are part of a project, you cannot allocate your votes to yourself. And you need to disclose that in the forum, saying, I am delegate and I also work for this project. So we make sure like the process is fair for everybody. And so please don't forget to do this before the voting starts. There is also like also another forum post for those who have a conflict of interest. They didn't disclose it, but so like others can actually say if that's the case. Yeah, at least, I mean, it's self-reporting, or somebody else can report for you guys if you don't follow these rules. And if we go to the next one, yeah. So, and sorry, something that I forgot for delegates. When you finish allocating your votes in the application, in the RAF one, you will have a place where you can submit your feedback in the process. So applicants have the forum to submit feedback. Delegates have a form in the RAF application for submit their feedback, so we can also improve that. So there are like two places for feedbacks, both for applicants and delegates. Now we can go into so you create your strategy for allocate your votes, and you can actually disclose those voting rationale into the forum post or in the Telegram or wherever you want with other delegates. So you can compare, or you can actually like start discussing what makes more sense to allocate your votes in like a certain way or in another way. So it's okay to share your thoughts. It's okay to share your knowledge, or to share your rationale with other delegates. So that's totally fine for us. And actually, like, this is something that we want to like everybody to talk between different delegates, so we can make this bigger, and actually we can make this better like for everybody, and so everybody can understand like how other people think, or how other delegates think about different projects that were created and in the application process. So that's the end. And I don't know if there are any other questions. I mean, of course, like, I'm always available. Toma is always available. We're always available in case you have questions of the overall process, but happy to hear those questions now.
So the first question is from David. It's hard to find the delegates. I can't find the delegates by name. Is this going to change?
Yeah, I think this is a good question. Hey, David, how are you doing? So it seems that it's indeed a limitation of the search function of the Tally platform where we have our governance built upon today. That seems to be true for all of their DAOs. So that's definitely feedback I'll relay to them to make sure we can add search by name on top of the address or the ENS. Good one.
Okay, I don't see any other questions yet. Some people are fans of Ellie in the chat. Okay, here's the next question. Besides RAF, How else will the Obol token enter the market? Private sales / public sales? I also wonder when TGE is planned.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And obviously, I can't say everything publicly yet. But so I think there are a number of big buckets, if you want to think about them this way. So we had the airdrop, which is obviously like quite substantial already, 7.5% of the supply. I also touched a little bit around community incentives that are going to be coming. We'll announce those in the next few weeks. So that's going to be a big portion as well for capital owners and deployers. And then there will be another big bucket, which is community sales indeed. So I see you were wondering about that. So we are in talks with the various community platforms to discuss having a community round, and hopefully we'll be able to announce something soon.
All right, and it's maybe worth reminding people, I'll post the link to the airdrop announcement in the chat here because there's someone asking about airdrop, which has already happened. So I've just posted that in chat. David has another question. I already applied for the RAF, but I can't see it in the project dashboard. I assume that it'll be reviewed first. When will this be done?
I can take that. And so, yeah, exactly. So if you see at the timeline, the association needs to approve it first, and then it goes to the voting process, like the delegate will take care of. But, and yeah, I mean, you will see the project in the project dashboard and before end of the week.
For this first round, the association is conducting these reviews. To be honest, they're mostly for spam or for obviously projects that are not satisfying the goals of this round at all. Otherwise, it's up to the delegates to decide whether some project should get 0, right? Now, in the further rounds, so we're going to have at least, I don't know, like 5 RAF rounds, let's say. We'd love to have delegates and maybe like a subset of delegates help us with the review process as well. So if that's something you're interested in and getting more involved, maybe as a community, and get a little budget for that review, that is definitely something we'd love to do with you in the future.
There's another question. Hi, how many projects have already applied to the Obol RAF?
I don't know if we can disclose that. I would say some. I don't know, Toma, if you want to take it.
No, sure. I think we definitely have a few already, but there is space. If you've built something that's a public good for Obol or for Ethereum, I definitely invite you to apply. The process is not too long, and it's definitely worth the shot. I expect that at least will be between, I don't know, 20 to 30, 40 projects in the end that get significant funding. So that's sort of our goal at this stage, and we'll see if we achieve it.
Next question is from Jan. Do artistic production or development projects apply for this RAF round, or is it more for the other types of projects specifically?
So I think, Ellie, you have the eligibility criteria. Maybe Andy, it might be worth rereading them.
Yeah, I have the eligibility criteria here. So like the eligibility criteria is basically in projects who have developed or improved open source tools, protocols, applications, educational resources, or any initiative that increases the awareness or participation in and value of the Obol Collective's decentralized operator ecosystem. So yeah, so that's basically it. And if you think with artistic production or development and you meet those criteria, then like, yeah, happy to like if you can apply for that. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and yeah, we can discuss that in private.
What's the what's the best way to reach out to you?
So it could be in I would say Discord and Eliza Pancake, and I'm part of the core team. DMs are open.
Sounds good. All right. Any other questions? I think there's a question here which might confuse what it means to delegate tokens. How do you motivate your delegates not to sell tokens on TG in order to maintain a large weight in voting? So maybe just explaining how delegation works again.
Yeah, so I think maybe what this person is referring to, and I apologize not being able to spell to say your name. I don't read Russian. I hope it's Russian. So obviously, if you delegated your token to someone and that person then transfers their token out, that delegation will disappear. So you will lose the voting power from that person. So if you're referring to how do you motivate the people that have delegated to you, well, as a delegate, the best you can do is, if you know their identity, to obviously motivate them on what Obol has to offer to these people. Otherwise, just in general, increase the awareness of Obol. But there isn't really anything you can do that's directly affecting others' people behavior. The voting power will be depending on whether people stay delegated to you or sell those tokens.
Right. So people are delegating their tokens to someone else, but it doesn't mean that that other person is getting ownership of the tokens.
Now, the one thing that's quite interesting that we have in the plans moving forward, and that will also be probably a governance vote, so stay tuned for that, is some sort of incentivization mechanism for delegates for them to be able to get paid. I believe that delegates do a great work and they should be compensated for that. So we're exploring various mechanisms in that we could leverage to do that. So that's maybe something else that might incentivize you as a delegate to chase that voting power.
This is a question not really related to RAF. Is there another chance to join mainnet with Lido? I think probably the best thing to do is to follow us on Twitter and maybe jump into our Discord and ask Anthony that question if you can find him. Here's a technique question, I think. Will basic, bronze, and silver badges who actively participate in the Obol ecosystem receive any benefits? How can I get a gold badge in the future?
Yeah, I think this is really at the core of what we're building with the decentralized operator ecosystem. So as I said, on one side, you have people like you who hold a badge that's super valuable for the specific reason that on the other side of the trade, you have these networks and these blockchains and these AIA networks that are looking for credentialed and good operators. And so that's what Obol is able to bridge, is to bring opportunities. So far, we were able to bring Techni to Lido, we're able to bring Techni to EtherFi, and we're working as we get more TVL and expand also beyond Ethereum. We recently announced our deployment on Monad, actually. So the Magma team there that's building an LST, so similar to Lido or EtherFi, will be looking for operators. And so that's how we hope to bring the people that have the best years in terms of Techni into the fold and give them opportunities. So Techni is really your door towards opportunities to become an operator in Web3 in general. Gold Techni, we don't know yet, or at least I can't say yet. And so that will be managed by the community leads at Obol. So stay tuned on X for announcements around that.
All right, next question. Voting process will use quadratic voting, right?
That's correct, and that's something we've actually missed earlier. So thanks for pointing it out, Arielus. So that's something that was pioneered by Gitcoin around quadratic funding. It's been praised by Vitalik himself. So if you allocated, let's say, 10 votes, then the score for that project will, if you allocated 100, sorry, the score for that project will be 10. If you allocate 4 votes, the score for that project will be 2. So you basically take the square root of the votes. So that's actually incentivize you as a delegate to spread your votes across more projects for maximum efficiency, or let's say return per vote that you have. And that's quite important, as we want to avoid a situation where 90% of the 1 million tokens that we're giving out is going to one or two projects, as we do believe there are smaller projects within the Obol Collective that also deserve some funding.
Quick shout out to Dapnode Squad.
Squad!
This one might also be a bit confused about the delegation mechanism. Maybe I missed it, but will it be possible to send Obol to a delegation, to a validator, or to a stake?
Yeah, I think there might be something lost in translation there. But you can delegate your Obol token to anyone, whether they're an individual as part of some projects. Like that node that we just had, I think we have one of their delegates on the platform, or we also have Freddy from like large operators that are running stake, or it could be totally different projects. So you have various types of delegates, and you can check that on vote.obol.org. You can see their profile and whether you're interested in giving your votes towards people that are running infrastructure or running side projects or have a lot of ETH. Really depends on who you think is most aligned with your own objective as an Obol holder.
Okay, I've posted the list of delegates here in the chat as well. There's some questions about private sales or public sales, but I don't know if we want to comment on that.
It's in the plan. Nothing we can announce yet, but I would really like to involve indeed more of the Obol Collective prior to TG. We'll keep you up to date.
Sounds good. Ellie wants me to post. Oh, these are the two delegate dashboards. Yeah. I'm going to post those here. Delegate dashboards. Another question from Jan. Are there any burning mechanisms considered for Obol tokenomics in the future?
Nothing we can really comment on at this stage. I think the priority for us is going through first the retroactive funding rounds, and then the unlock and listing on the big exchanges. So we'll keep you up to date there. And all these things will also be subject to a governance vote. So quite important for the delegates and the token holders to tell us what you want to do in that area. Now, what I can comment on is we are seeing indeed a shift in the industry since the inauguration of Trump towards tokens that are actually yielding some sort of dividend or doing burn, or at least locking that into a liquidity pool like Uniswap, or if it's paired with USDC or ETH. So we're seeing more and more of these things being proposed to governance. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone from the community also proposes that for the Obol token once we're live and going. Obviously, there are legal considerations around that we would have to study.
All right. Well, we've been going for over a half hour here. If anyone has any final questions, now would be the time. But yeah, I think we're getting ready to wrap. So yeah, just in summary, I guess we have a week for applications to go in, and we have a week for voting. And everything can be found on raf.obol.org for anyone that's interested. There's another question about tokens being unlocked after voting.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. But okay, cool. No, I think that was an exciting first one. We'll get your feedback, try to iterate for the next one. But super happy to start building more and more this like public-facing Obol Collective. Ellie here really will be the face of it, and she's super good at it. So super excited about what we're building here with the collective. Thanks for being on board, and plenty of announcements coming up.
Thanks both. See you later.
Thank you. Please apply. Bye.